Sometimes users have some bad habits relating to security, and you often have to make them aware of the things that are going on. It's very common, for instance, to find at least somebody in your organization who has yellow sticky notes set right on their monitor with passwords and other identifiable information on there. So you have to make people aware that that's not something you can really do in your organization. Also, let people know how to handle the data. Where do you store data on the network? Do you put in a public folder? Do we have private folders set up? To the end user, those folders may look exactly the same, but of course to other people in the organization, there are different rights and permissions set up on those. There are many times something called a clean desk policy, which means at the end of the day, or if you leave your desk, everything has to be cleaned off. You can leave nothing on your desk that people would be able to see. Your computer has to be locked and all of your papers have to be put away. And that becomes a habit that people have to get into to be able to do that. We also have a challenge these days with personal information. You're bringing your mobile phone into the office, you're bringing your tablet computer into the office, and these are third-party devices that have the potential to take private information or company information out the door. So there needs to be security policies wrapped around that. And another way that is very, very common for people to get into environments, more common than you might think, is to simply fill their arms up with boxes of goodies, donuts, and other sweets, and ask somebody to open the door for them. You would be surprised how easy it is to get into a building that way. And donuts, they're so off-putting and everybody wants a donut, it becomes very easy to walk in the door, but you have to train your users that that person, even though their arms are full, they're going to need to badge in, they're going to need to sign in or do whatever is the standard process for getting into your building. You can't just allow someone in because they've got their arms full. Make sure that all of these user habits are things that are considered and that your people get into the habit of doing the right thing when it comes to security. There are also some bad threats out there your end users need to be aware of. One obvious one is viruses. There are thousands and thousands of new viruses every week. It's very, very difficult for an antivirus program, a single antivirus program, to get all of them. Many organizations will put antivirus at their gateway. They'll put antivirus on their email servers, and of course, antivirus on their end user workstations and their servers. And that's one of the things is they'll often mix and match different manufacturers of antivirus in an effort to try to get as many of these viruses filtered out as possible. Obviously, we're going to need new technology for virus someday. We're approaching the maximum capabilities of what we can do with antivirus. So we're slowly working towards new technologies and new ways to identify some of these viruses. Another very common threat these days is phishing, where you may be presented with a page that looks just like a login page for our intranet or a login page for Facebook or for Twitter, and we're typing our credentials in so we can log in. But of course, in phishing, it's not really Facebook, it's not really Twitter, it's not really our corporate intranet. We're typing this information directly into the bad guy's web server, and as soon as we type that in, they have our username and password. Yet another threat that we have to make people aware that when you're putting in your username, your password, or any other personal or identifiable information, you need to double check and make sure that you are going to that site directly and you didn't just click a link in an email to get there. Spyware is something that then gets embedded on someone's machine. Maybe they've clicked a link and that link has now put spyware on someone's machine, and now it's capturing keystrokes, it's watching where people browse, and it's gathering other information about what may be inside of an organization. Unfortunately, spyware can also cost you money. If you're a financial person that's logging into your bank accounts and moving things around, a keylogger can capture all of that login information, send it back to the bad guys, and then from their side, they can log into your bank account and do whatever they'd like with your money. It becomes an unfortunate situation. There are also exploits called zero-day exploits. This is when a piece of software you're running on your computer is vulnerable to a particular kind of attack that up to this point nobody knew about. And now suddenly today, the bad guys are taking advantage of that particular exploit, and now the manufacturer of that software has to now come out with a patch. But in the meantime, this exploit is active and people would be able to take advantage of that on your computer. The only defense of a zero-day exploit is very, very quickly reacting to it and making sure that you've got the patch and you have the information you need to protect that machine immediately. The longer you take, the longer that exploit will be available to the bad guys.